We did a lot of work, which I still do actually, for a big property client. And one of the things they owned was Piccadilly Lights. And they said, we're going to put a hoarding up to build a shop at the bottom. So we got the brief and it said, we want a board on the outside that says owned and managed by Land Securities. And that was it. And you think, really, there must be something more we can do. So we built an enormous light switch. We didn't get permission for it, so we put it up at 2 o'clock in the morning. And the signage guy said, if we all wear fluorescent jackets, no one will stop us. But we tried to get them to turn the lights off and turn them on again, so we'd have a big sort of thing. And they said it would cost them £3 million in advertising revenue. And they wouldn't do it for some reason. This was one of the first set of stamps that I did for Royal Mail. And this was all to do with Darwin. But we had a really simple thought that maybe this idea of connecting stuff together, the tree of life, and this idea of connecting all the subjects that he did, that we could cut the stamps as little jigsaw shapes. And amazingly, they said yes. But the nicest bit about this was finding a picture of an orangutan that looked as much like Darwin as we possibly could, and never mentioned to Royal Mail that we were trying to find a monkey that looked exactly like Darwin. This was for Williams, the Formula One engineering company. They came to us and said, we just want somebody to redesign our trucks. Nothing else, just redo the trucks. This was one they showed us. They were saying how nice it is that it's nice and clean, but maybe it could do a bit more, I think was their brief. What's interesting about the lorries, or the trucks, is that the cars are inside them. And then very simply on the trucks, we printed at actual size, so that when you saw the truck go past, it meant you could overtake Formula One cars on the motorway, which I quite liked. But they were so pleased with the way this truck project had gone, we started to do their whole identity. And I think it's just that thing of the opportunity that you can just make the most of all the time. And then what we started to do was draw up all the cars that they'd won Grand Prix with. And then we printed these as their identity, so this is all their business cards. So it meant the engineers could choose their favourite car to have the backs of their card. It just turned into this wonderful project that was supposed to just be a truck. Around, a few years before I left Hattrick, I was doing a lot of my own sort of side projects. Sometimes they're called personal projects, which I always just think is a bit, demeaning or something. So this is when I was on holiday one year. I started to make a pack of cards because I was bored and we didn't have any cards. So I tore out a note of one of my daughter's notebooks and drew out 64 cards. And then I realised that the paper was see-through, so you could see all the drawings. But this led to doing this set of cards. I drew up some rules about it, that I couldn't use the same typeface twice. I couldn't redraw the typefaces. You just had to combine letters. This looks really, really easy, and actually it was really fucking difficult. This was, again, come back to my dad. After he died, my mum asked me to tidy up the garage, and I hated my dad's garage. So what I did was I dragged my daughter over, and it just looked like this. And it was full of these drawers, just full of rusty, there was one that was full of rusty keys. And the first thing we found was this. And this is a set of Allen keys where probably me or one of my brothers has torn off 2 of them. And it's just left these 8 legs. And so then we didn't tidy the garage at all. We got a camera out and just started photographing things that looked like other things. Robots made from sewing machine parts. This was a whole drawer of question marks. This was tulips, some of which had been picked. This is Zorro, and this is his collection of moustaches. I love this. This is like properly mental. I love this idea that he goes out and he puts on a different moustache. And so Jess and I did this book, and this then got a nomination at D&AD. And so for me, the whole thing with side projects, they became part of what I wanted to do with my sort of working practice. And the last project, and this was based on a poster I'd done for something at Norwich called Cowbird, and it was a sort of symposium about print and digital work. And I'd had this thought about a little Twitter bird going moo. So I started to think about this as a kid's book about animals making the wrong noises. So I called it E on Moo. But what I started to think was that, is there a reason why these animals are doing it? So I ended up writing a series of poems, which I'm not going to torture you with. But it was called A Menagerie of Wishful Thinking. So they weren't making the wrong noise. Things like the owl was going cock-a-doodle-doo because he's scared of the dark. And the lion's tired of being in charge, so he wants to muck about and be a monkey. The pig is tired of smelling shit and wants to smell flowers, so he wants to be a bee. Sheep wants to be in charge, elephant wants to be small. And then the last one was a cow going moo because he was happy being a cow, which I really liked. I felt that was a bit philosophical almost. And so I thought I'd just finish on this slide because this was me at the beginning about being completely terrified. And I've decided now I'm not as terrified now, but I'm just still constantly surprised about things. and so it feels like I've just stayed in the same place in a different way. But and that's me.